Meltdowns are one of the most challenging parts of being autistic for me, and overall, they just suck for any autistic person I've ever encountered. If you're an autistic person, you probably don't wake up each day and plan that you'll have a meltdown.
Okay, what's on the schedule for today?
Make breakfast, okay, do some writing, meeting with Steve, have a quick meltdown, lunch, tackle some admin issues, go for a nice long walk, have an epic meltdown, sleep for 3 weeks straight. Sounds great. Being autistic means that meltdowns are likely to occur at some stage in your life, but there's a lot you can do to prepare for them and also lessen their occurrences, which I'll talk about more in a separate video on how to avoid meltdowns. But in this video, let's talk about what you can do when a meltdown does occur and what you should do after to hopefully help you better understand and prepare for future meltdowns. Before a meltdown happens, know yourself and how it feels when you're about to have a meltdown. If we could all avoid having meltdowns, I'm pretty sure we would. But since that might not be possible, especially in stressful times in our lives, it helps to get to know ourselves. What are the things that bother you? What are patterns that lead more often to meltdowns? Before my autism diagnosis, it felt like I just exploded. And I knew there were reasons why I did, but I could never really pinpoint what those were. I also hid a lot of things that bothered me because of the masking I'd learned growing up. After my diagnosis, when I realized a lot of these were autistic meltdowns, I started to pay attention to triggers. Having bad sleep, especially for multiple days, is a huge factor for me. When I'm not getting adequate sleep, I struggle to regulate my emotions, and I'm less logical. And I have very, very little patience for anything. I also didn't make adjustments before my diagnosis to get what I needed, like breaks from socializing or having fewer in-person meetings. Not running a bunch of errands during busy times of the day, like getting groceries on the way home from work when everyone else was doing that too. Basically, I didn't understand myself and see how these triggers contributed to meltdowns, but they did. So now, when I'm not overwhelmed, I pay more attention. I jot down things that bother me. I pay attention to the physical sensations of what happens before a meltdown. For me, I start to get really hot. Sometimes my vision starts to blur. I might even get dizzy. It sometimes feels a lot like a panic attack, but it could also be little pricks of irritation throughout the day or over a couple of days, especially when I'm not sleeping well. Irritation building and building and building. Then maybe we go out and there's a crowd. That could be the last thing. And then I lose it. But later, if I look back at it, I could see the signs. I just had chosen to ignore them. But in the long run, if I want to improve my own mental health and have fewer meltdowns and deal less with the aftermath and exhaustion of them, I have to start noticing those signs. Then I can make what I need clear so I don't get to the stage of having a full meltdown. So the goal of saying this is not telling you never to have a meltdown. It's saying that we're all different and we all have unique needs and things that bother us. When you're not having a meltdown, pay attention to what those things are that lead to chest tightness or heaviness when you're breathing or the sharp jabs of pain and annoyance in your brain. All of those things could be signs that you're headed for a meltdown. And then, take a break. Don't push yourself to the next thing, or just realize that if you do, the meltdown might be coming soon. Like I said before, I have another video about how to avoid meltdowns, but these are just a few things to consider. And if you do get too far down the path and it does lead to a meltdown, listen up to what you can try next. When a meltdown happens, number 1, get to a safe spot, preferably at home. If you're in public, get to a private place like a bathroom. So, you have the feeling and a meltdown is imminent or has already started. Get yourself to a secure spot, preferably your home, and maybe a specific room within your home that is your own safe spot. What's a safe spot? If you're at home, it's a room or spot in the house that's designed for you in mind. You have all your comfy things there. Try to have this room be just for you as much as possible. Sharing can lead to other people moving things around or making a mess that can make your meltdown even worse. So in your safe spot, everything is where you want it to be, and you have things you need right there. You don't need to think about it when you're already having a meltdown, so you want to set this up ahead of time. Remove breakable items or really important things that you'd be upset to lose, or take them out of this space, because sometimes if you're in a full meltdown, you can't even think about what you're doing, and you don't want to have something important there if you might be rough with it during your meltdown. You also want to remove things that could potentially hurt you if you threw it or knocked it over. Have some comfort snacks or comfy clothes you want right there. Maybe things to calm you down, like calming music, or noise-canceling headphones, or maybe some STIM items, or something to cuddle with, or maybe even a weighted blanket. Put these all in your safe spot ahead of time. You'll be glad you did when the time comes and it's ready for you. If you're out in public and can't get home, get to a spot that's as sensory friendly as you can and private. A bathroom can be okay, but it also can be really hit or miss if it's a public one. This is one time when I'd say that the handicap bathroom might be an option, but a stall might be okay too. If you're in a crowded spot, getting to a less public area and getting some space also might be an option. Like if you're in a shopping mall, the bathroom actually might be crowded, so a stairwell could be okay as an alternative. But be careful of your own safety. The key is a place where hopefully there aren't many other triggers, like people talking to you or sudden loud noises or unpleasant smells, which is why a bathroom could be hit or miss. You want a spot where you can have your meltdown, but in a place where you'll be safe and won't accidentally hurt yourself. You also don't want to have to be in a public area where other people will stare or possibly even try to intervene, which could escalate the situation. As much as possible, remove yourself to another area. One final note here. Avoid driving a motorized vehicle during a meltdown, or if you feel one coming. If you are driving, find a safe spot to pull over. Remember, safety for you and others should always be your number one priority. Number 2, avoid drawing attention to yourself if you're in public. While many people might leave you alone, if you're loud or appear highly agitated, which is exactly what is likely to happen during a meltdown, some people might try to intervene. Whew. They might think this is helpful, but if you're like me during a meltdown, the last thing you want is a stranger or even a loved one to talk to you. You need a quiet space. So if you're in public, you want to get to a spot, but also not do it in a way that will raise alarm. Otherwise, well-intentioned people might think you need help, either by talking to you, bad idea, or by asking other people to help you, like security guards or police officers, which could escalate the situation and also be very difficult depending on the country you're in and their policies. So try to remove yourself from the situation quickly and quietly. If you have someone with you, have a go-to phrase that alerts them to this, so they can help you get where you need to be with as little talking as possible. Something like break time, or safe spot, or overwhelmed, or red alert could be key terms with a trusted friend or loved one. Then they can know how to help you get to that spot as inconspicuous as possible. Don't feel like you need to explain yourself right then. That can be later. But plan this ahead of time. Go over the phrase and what you need in that moment so the person knows. Especially if you have anyone you spend significant time around. This can be so helpful in the moment for both of you, and it'll build trust over time. Number 3, avoid communication during or immediately after. I'm pretty positive I'm not the only person who has said something during a meltdown that I regretted. But if I had just avoided communicating at that moment, it wouldn't have happened. Usually during a meltdown, I'm not thinking very clearly. So talking to me isn't good. I'm not clear, and it's frustrating. Then I usually say something because my goal is to get the talking to stop. So limiting or completely avoiding communication during a meltdown is key. If people I spend time around know this, and if I know too, then it'll be easier all around. But I also know people worry sometimes when you're having a meltdown. Debbie worries. But now we have an agreement. I get space and time, and she gives me that. I might message and just say, I need some time, but I'll be okay. And then she knows I'm okay, but also not to barrage me with a bunch of messages or questions right now. Win-win. The same goes for extensive communication right after a meltdown. I'm exhausted and drained. I don't feel like having a whole conversation, so it's usually a quiet time for me. If I'll be around other people like Debbie, she knows it's not a time to talk a lot. If I'm ready, I'll instigate a chat, but I'm usually not ready for at least 20 minutes, or sometimes much, much longer, like a couple of hours. If it's a chunk of time, usually Debbie checks on me, but it's more like a wellness check. She wants to know if I'm okay. She'll bring me water and maybe a snack, but not a lot of talk. And I don't need to respond much. Otherwise, I avoid most other communication right after a meltdown, and that's okay. Number 4, have a go-to self-talk phrase. I avoid communicating with others, but during a meltdown, self-talk is sometimes necessary. Have a go-to self-talk phrase. For me, I say,
It's okay that I'm upset. This is just temporary.
I repeat this over and over and over. Sometimes parts of the phrase, sometimes the whole thing. It's a reminder to myself about something important. The meltdown and the horrible feelings during it are temporary. They will pass. And it's usually over for me much faster when I am able to calm myself down. The self-talk serves another purpose too. It can distract yourself from your own ruminating thoughts. Those thoughts that keep swirling around and make you feel horrible? Well, refocus your brain on the self-talk. Pay attention to where you are right then and there. Repeat your mantra.
This will pass. It's okay that I'm upset. This is just temporary. This will pass.
All of this is true. It will pass and you'll get through it. But sometimes in that moment, that feels impossible. It can sometimes feel like I need an immediate escape from the world, and it's all too overwhelming. But when I remind myself this will pass, it can help. Sometimes just enough to get past the meltdown, ride it out, and then begin recovering after. After a meltdown happens, number 1, control your breathing. I'm going to be honest with you. I used to think focusing on your breath was complete garbage. What a waste of time. But since I've practiced doing box breathing, it's really helped me to calm down. If I can remember to do it after the hardest parts of my meltdown are over, it helps me get better regulated faster. I do a 4-4-4 breathing after a meltdown the most because it's the easiest for me to handle at those times. It helps to reset and gives my brain something manageable to focus on, counting the seconds for each cycle of the breathing. So basically, you inhale for a count of 4, hold your breath for a count of 4, and exhale for a count of 4. Then you repeat. I try to do this with my eyes closed and just focus on the breathing at least 5 times or until I feel better. Now, I'm well aware that being autistic sometimes means your brain will battle you during these breathing sessions. I get it. But if you practice and make it manageable, controlled breathing will help. Number 2, give yourself time. You're still in an agitated state. Don't push it. After a meltdown, I usually just need time to recover and kind of be a vegetable. Or maybe a burrito is a better analogy, since I like to wrap myself up in a blanket sometimes. Basically, doing nothing. But I am doing something important, giving myself recovery time. A meltdown takes a mental and emotional toll on me, but I also feel it physically. I get really tense during the meltdown, and sometimes I have a headache afterward. What am I talking about? I always have a headache afterward. If I say something that wasn't nice, I also feel guilty. I also just feel sad or embarrassed sometimes about having the meltdown. Why did that happen? Why do I feel so overwhelmed? Why did I say or do that? So give yourself permission to take a little time after. You don't need to sit and just think about the meltdown. You might not be ready to process what happened yet, and ruminating is usually not very helpful. But you can take some time. Maybe play a game on your phone, or just rest and recover first before you try to go do something. Or take a nap. Rest your brain. It just went through a lot with the meltdown. But the important thing to remember at this stage is you made it through the meltdown. You got through it. It passed. And now you just need a little time. And that's okay. Also remember that you're still in a heightened state for a little while after a meltdown. And something very small could easily put you right back in there. Don't push it. You're still a bit agitated. Take it easy as your brain and body resettle in the aftermath. Trust me. Number 3, try not to feel guilty about having the meltdown. It's part of the autistic experience and can be reduced over time, but it's not shameful. Meltdowns are a result of overwhelm and overloading your autistic brain. You might have pushed yourself too hard or been out and overstimulated for too long. You might not have gotten enough to eat or gotten enough sleep. Whatever was the cause, remember that meltdowns are part of the autistic experience. Over time, you can reduce them by making adjustments for what you need, but there is nothing shameful about being autistic or having a meltdown. Sure, I have felt embarrassed about them before, but by working next on figuring out your triggers and how to avoid a meltdown, you can lessen the frequency and intensity of them. It takes some practice, but I'm here to tell you that it can be done. I've struggled in the past with it, but I have greatly reduced my meltdowns with time, patience, and some support. So try not to feel guilty about having a meltdown. It's part of being autistic, and it's not shameful. And next step, let's see if we can improve it together. And ruminating is usually, drop off your sheep, go home.